Hi, this is a little introduction to starting a new project with Premiere Pro, and more importantly, starting Premiere Pro for the first time if you've never used it before on the computer you're on. There's a few setup things that will make it run more efficiently, and so this will try to show you how to do exactly that. So we're going to start with a new project, and once again, I'm assuming that you haven't run Premiere Pro before. The first most important thing that it's going to start out with is it's going to default your location of where you're going to save your files and what the name is. And I'm going to suggest the first thing that you should do is change your location to the local D drive of your computer. The D drive on your computer is considerably faster than the default network server, especially in the schools that we're working with. So by setting that, you're going to make things more reliable and a lot faster. And you're going to have a whole lot fewer problems if you go this direction. And so on the D drive, we're selecting the location. Let's also make ourselves a folder with your last name, first initial if you don't already have it. And inside of that, make a folder for every project that you do. In fact, you might want to number them first. So if this is my first project, I'm going to call this first project. And you don't have to go into that folder. You can just say select folder and you're set. The name of the project, should always start with your last name, and then whatever the title of the piece is. So what I hate is the project we're working on in class. And before you leave this screen, and you've had this set, let's go over to Scratch Disks and set it up. Again, this is for a first flight. After this, it's probably going to be set properly. But there are 7 items that you have to set, and we again want to optimize this so it works best for the hard drives and the computers that you're working on. It's okay for captured video to save and captured audio to save inside the project folder, but for the other 5 items that are here, it's best to put them also on the D drive and into a particular folder that kind of gets the garbage out of the way. So for video previews on down, hit the browse button to start out. Again, go look for your D drive. And if you don't already see a folder called Adobe Scratch, make a new folder called Adobe Scratch. The name of it doesn't really matter too much, but by putting all the garbage files inside of here, it's going to just tidy everything up considerably. And I would suggest doing this for the remaining 4. So I'm just going to hit browse, and then it's going to remember where we just last saved. So I'll just hit enter, browse, enter, browse, enter, browse, and enter. And you should see all of these saying Adobe Scratch, and your first 2 saying same as your project. I'll say OK now. Now, Adobe Premiere Pro, when it starts things up, it assigns a bunch of panels onto your screen. These panels are all fully movable and customizable, and you'll see, for instance, there's a toolbar that's down here, and they can sometimes get a little out of whack. So one of the first things that's useful to show you is how to fix that. You also might see a blank screen on occasion, and if you're not seeing anything just now, you're going to want to know this trick. To arrange these panels in useful configurations, go up to Window and Workspaces, and you can choose any of these things. Editing is a good panel workspace to use, and when you click that, it'll resort them back to where they started. Now you can even make customized arrangement of these things, but I would start with the general editing. And if you ever have a blank screen and you can't see the panels that you want, just go up to Window and Workspaces and choose one of them. Like I say, editing is a good place to get started with this. And you can even hit a reset to save the layout to restore things if you've lost panels or tools or anything off of there. And the final thing that we want to do when we're getting set up here is we want to go set some preferences, especially again if this is the first time you've used the program. So under Edit, go look for Preferences down below here. And one of the more useful things that we're going to want to start with is actually way down here called Media Cache under the M's. Click on your Media Cache, and the default is to cache this thing again sort of on your personal documents folder. We do not want to cache things there, so I'm going to hit Browse, and I'm going to again go to D, and the Media Cache in this case I'm going to go to Adobe Scratch. I think I'll save it there and just select that folder, just the basic Adobe Scratch. You can see other things are already starting to arrive there. So it's located here for Media Cache, and also for a Media Cache database. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to browse and put it down under the D drive, Adobe Scratch, to get it away from my personal drive. And it'll often say, do you want to move the existing media cache? Sure, I'll hit move. And I think that's everything that you're going to need to do here. If you're having problems with audio, I'm going to say OK for this. under that same preferences, edit preferences. You might get warnings that say the configuration of your audio has changed. Go to audio hardware. This is the other thing that you might do fairly regularly. Make sure your default output is something that's not listed as missing. And if you've plugged in your headphones, it changes the values of these things in here. So you might have to do that every now and again, and that's fairly common. I'm going to say OK. And at that, I believe this project is just about ready to go. So we'll see you in part 2 of Premiere Pro Basics, and we'll start assembling the clips and getting into editing. See you there.